Hey everyone, it's Jordan here for Cinelinks.com. I'm back today with more toy goodness for you guys. This time around, the awesome folks over at Playmates Toys were kind enough to send me some of their new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, which of course features a crossover with none other than Godzilla. And I was super excited when these were first announced back during San Diego Comic-Con, and they're coming out this month, and I'm so glad to get my hands on these. So let's go ahead and open these up, and we'll talk more about them as we go. This feels like such a wild and inevitable crossover, and I mean that in the best way. You know, the Ninja Turtles over the last few years have had a crazy number of crossovers. They've had He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Naruto, even Stranger Things, which, you know, we featured before as well. Just everything under the sun. And similarly, Godzilla has been, you know, crossing over with a whole bunch of different properties lately. They've got, you know, he's gone up against both, you know, DC and Marvel superheroes. He's teamed up with Power Rangers over the years, and there's just so much more on the horizon. So it makes sense that these two, which are both big on crossovers, are finally crossing over with each other. Now, despite the artwork here on the back featuring a cool little mashup of all of them, you'll notice that the Donatello Jet Jaguar is not actually among this first wave. We've got Leonardo as Godzilla, Mikey as King Ghidorah, and Raphael as Rodan. So I'm guessing that means that Donatello is coming sometime later, but that's okay. For now, we've got plenty to talk about here. I'm going to talk about them together generally, then I'll break down a couple things I want to highlight with them individually. Aside from Raph, who just kind of opens up, pop him out of the package, and he's good to go, the others have some stuff you have to add on to, you know, piece together. For Leonardo, you have the shell on the back that pops in there. It's super easy. Michelangelo has a little bit more extensive stuff to him. He's got the two wings on the back and the dual tail that you have to put together and insert in. Again, none of it's hard, which is actually really nice. This will be good for, you know, younger people that are picking them up to actually play with them. They're really not that difficult to put together or anything like that. They all have their distinct and unique weapons, but of course they're shaped differently to kind of represent the powers that each of them have. Of course, Leonardo's Godzilla has the heat ray katanas here. Rodan is primarily fire-based powers, and so his size are flames. And then King Ghidorah, Mikey, with the gravity beam type nunchucks here. On top of the accessories, probably the biggest thing is that these are all new sculpts, and they all feature different details that are from the monsters that they're representative of. As you can see here on Leonardo, you've got the more scaly skin, the long tail, of course, and then the spines on the back and the top of the head. You know, their faces have been changed as well to go along with them. With Raph, you have the beak for Rodan and the wings that are here on the sides. I really like that these are actually attached to his wrist joints here, so that as he moves, the wing, which is, you know, this very flexible plastic material, also goes with it. So you can really do some fun stuff with that. Mikey, I think, has the coolest amount of details for his King Ghidorah. Obviously, you know, the horns on the side. You have these shoulder pauldrons that make up the other heads of the dragon. The wings, of course, are very extensive that go back here, and you have the dual tail that also, you know, you can rotate around and stuff like that. There's just a lot of really fun details on him. I think he's probably the best out of this whole batch. All of these have multiple points of articulation. Like, these are legit full-on action figures that you can play with, and you got hip movement, knee movement, the ankles move side to side, up and down just a little bit. Of course, you've got shoulder, elbow, and wrist joints here. The wrists just kind of go back and forth, which is fine. The only real concern I've seen with that is here on the Leonardo one. in that these swords are heavy, and it kind of makes the wrist a little loose. Like if you're standing up, sometimes it just falls over on its own, whether you want it to or not. It's just almost too heavy for how loose that wrist joint is. It's not like a huge deal, especially if you're playing, but if you're displaying stuff, it's something you want to keep in mind for how you display it. But generally speaking, considering how unique these sculpts are, I'm impressed to see how much articulation they actually incorporated. All in all, these Godzilla Ninja Turtles toys are just a lot of fun. There's some really cool, unique details that really hammers home this crossover attempt. It's very much still Ninja Turtles, but they've done such a neat job of incorporating those iconic classic Godzilla elements into all of them. Personally, like I said before, Mikey takes the cake for this one. He's just got a lot more detail on him than the others, and it's really impressive how good this figure looks. And what's even more insane is that all of these figures come in right at $15. Like, that's bananas to me. For this type of overall presentation, I mean, you've got the unique box art, which, for collectors like me, I'm normally a in-the-box collector. That's a big thing. These are entirely all new unique sculpts that they had to create and develop. You've got all the articulation, all that play factor in there, and it's crazy that you get all this for $15. I mean, Star Wars with Hasbro is going up to $30 for the Star Wars toys that I get, and they sometimes have less accessories than what we get here. Obviously, there's a difference between the quality of the Black Series sculpts and, these Playmates toys, but still, that's a lot put into it for only $15. At this price, there's absolutely no reason I can see to pass them up. Whether you're a Godzilla fan or a Ninja Turtle fan or a fan of both, these are just really solid figures and at a price point that's impossible to beat. Playmates Toys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Godzilla crossover figures are out right now in stores for $15 a piece. I'll have some links down in the description for you below. I think they're more than worth the $15 price point. There's some really fun stuff here. Perfect for collectors looking to display, and there's plenty of play factor in here for the younger collector, or for the younger crowd who are getting them, or if you're picking them up for your kids. They're going to have a lot of fun playing around with these. Well, I hope you enjoyed my quick little toy review. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, tell all your friends about it. Until next time, keep it tuned here on Cinelinks.com for all your movie, gaming, and geek-related needs.